Yeah, obviously coming off what was a decent season for us. We had some very good games, and all things considered, with our injuries at the start of the year, it was a pleasing season. Didn't finish the way we'd liked. We'd obviously like to win that championship and hope to do that this coming year. But I think we laid the groundwork last year with our returning players, and then we've brought in a lot of good players this year as well. So I think we've laid the foundation, and we're ready to get started this year with a very challenging schedule.
And talk a little bit about when you were making the schedule for this season, kind of what you were looking for,
Yeah.
as far as opponents and non-conference.
Well, what we try to do in the non-conference segment is try to play opponents that we think will be a great test for us, and also will help prepare us should we go on to the national tournament at the end of the year. And that's really the way we've set it up each year. So this year we've got some great opponents on there. Obviously we're playing against the defending national champions in North Carolina, but we also include great games against Duke, against Oklahoma, Ole Miss. Samford is a great rivalry for us. We've added in Troy this year as well, but we've obviously got some marquee games on the schedule. And we did that back in 2004 after we'd won the Division II National Championship. We played against UNC. They just won the D1 Championship, and it was a great experience for our girls, first of all. And then it was also a chance for them to see what it's like at the very, very highest level. As I said, we've got an outstanding group of 2013s coming in, and what better way to start than by showing them the gold standard for women's college soccer. So we think that's a game that we play. Regardless of how that game goes, we take a lot of positives from that game, and it's one that after you've played the national champions, you've really got nothing to fear with anybody else you ever play. So it's a great experience, and should be a tremendous occasion for our girls.
And you mentioned it, you start off the season in Knoxville with Tennessee Tech and Oklahoma, two quality teams, and then you keep building into Duke and North Carolina. Just talk a little bit about the two tournaments at the beginning of the year to kind of get the season going.
Yeah, well, it's good to start off with tournaments anyway. I mean, the way that works for us at D1 is that you're playing two games on a weekend just about every weekend, and then to have that sort of hard game to start off with, it really helps us take a look at what we need to do. We'll obviously come out of pre-season learning a lot through pre-season. But when you test yourselves against the best, you're able to see, okay, there's some weaknesses in this area, and this is what we want to try and tighten up. So that's why we started off that way. And if we come out of those two tournaments with pretty much a solidified team by that point, we'll be able to keep tweaking it. But we'll know who our go-to players are by that point.
And obviously, you talked about this already quite a bit, but the highlight of the non-conference, at least away from home, is the North Carolina tournament. Talk a little bit about the excitement around that as far as the girls, and kind of seeing the culture at North Carolina and at Duke.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so many things to be gained by a trip like that. If you take the soccer out of it, obviously those are great institutions, tremendous reputations academically. So just the sheer trip in itself of going into North Carolina and being in that environment is eye-opening for us. When you add the soccer in there, it becomes just a wonderful occasion for our players. As I said, we've done it before, and what it served to do the last time was just show our girls what it's like at the highest level, and I think we're obviously going to see that again this year with them being the national champions.
And then talk a little bit more about the other non-conference games. Obviously, a rivalry with Georgia State beat us last year. We want to go there and beat them there. Ole Miss comes in as a big home game, probably the marquee home game besides the conference schedule for us at home. Stanford, you mentioned Troy.
Yeah, anytime we're playing any of the Georgia schools, that's automatically a big game for us. The Georgia State game, they came to us last year. We weren't very pleased with our performance in that game last year, and that was a game they won right in the dying seconds. and we want to get down there this year and see if we can make amends for that and set the record straight. So that's the Georgia State game. Ole Miss, a new coach took over last year, Matt Mott, good coach and a friend of mine. He's turned that program around. So Ole Miss are back to winning ways, strong program. So that'll be a really good test for us against SEC opponents. We did the same thing last year with some SEC opponents. Played some very good teams, but just the sheer physical nature of SEC games is great prep. It's a little bit different than the ACC games. And we're looking forward to that one, and as you said, it's a home game for us, so we hope to pack this place. Samford, big game, big rivalry. A friend of mine again as a coach, we've played each other many times, and that one we snuck a win over at their place last year, and they'll be coming over here to try and get one from us.
So after you play North Carolina, you play Duke, Ole Miss, all these teams, you go into conference season, hopefully with a identity, and you get the Florida Gulf Coast home here at the end of the season. Just talk a little bit about the conference slate and kind of what do you expect from this year's ASUN?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of parity in our conference. There's not much between not much between any of the teams. I think it's shown that almost anybody can beat almost anybody else, depending on when the game is and where it is. So that's exciting for our conference games. It also means that you have to have 100% focus on every single game, home and away, and not look at results on paper. Obviously Gulf Coast, strong opponents. We went down there last year. That was a game, had we won it, we would have won the league. They played well, deserved to win it. We've got them up at our place this year, and we hope to change that around.
So like you mentioned earlier, you have 6 coming in freshmen, 2 new transfers, meshing with the 12 returnees. Just talk a little bit about the team and kind of you're starting preseason in August, and just getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, I think about a year and a half ago, we had a new commitment really from those players that are in our program. And we've seen that demonstrated, day in and day out with that particular group, with that returning group. We've also got, as you said, a very good freshman class, mainly local freshman class, that we're very excited about. So I know our returning players have already reached out to our freshmen that are coming in. Everybody's taking the summer training very seriously. Many of the girls are playing through the summer. They're either playing on top women's teams or some of them are still playing at the youth level. But there's a lot of soccer being played, a lot of people working very hard. Expectations are high for this year. But we know there's some great challenges there. So if there's anything that, if you need motivation when you're playing the national champions in several weeks' time, that's it.